here at Kung Fu Culture. So trying to give you some ideas as to like if you are a Sanda practitioner, whether it be in the United States or elsewhere, if you can understand English, then hopefully this helps. Because I know it's like Sanda's practiced like all over the world, which is amazing and it's wonderful. And it seems like we are trying to build it up here in the United States a little bit more. I'm seeing more martial arts YouTubers making videos about Sanda. So I think it is picking up. I used to compete in it a while back, and then it just seemed to kind of fade away a little bit. So it seems to be coming back. So for those of you who are trying to get better at the sport, which I personally believe that it is the the best base for say like MMA, or it's also a very good base if you want to be doing all kinds of martial arts, so including like self-defense stuff. It's really great for that because if you have the Sanda base, you'll have a lot of flexibility. You'll know how to do a wide variety of techniques, and then it's very easy to add any kind of self-defense stuff, whether it be like weapons, like guns and knives and stuff. Very easy to add all that stuff because you'll have a very strong foundation of different types of movements and stuff for your uh, for your body to just adapt and learn all kinds of really cool techniques. So that's been my experience, training in different countries and stuff. So um, I really wish that for you too. Okay, so but with that being said, you want to get good at Sanda, you want to compete for the national team, you want to try out for the national team trials, then this, of course, is my opinion. Everyone has their own opinions, but uh, I think there are three martial arts that you can supplement that will help your Sanda get better, right? So, because what I've been seeing, just overall, in competition, you're going to be seeing a lot of people who are very reliant on takedowns. So their striking is kind of lacking. But then what I've seen over the years is like, say, some coaches will take their Sanda team and they'll have them train in Muay Thai, right? So personally, I think there's enough stylistic differences between Sanda and Muay Thai to make Muay Thai not the style of kickboxing that you would want to supplement your Sanda, right? So really, I think the style that a Sanda practitioner should be supplementing with, if it's a kickboxing style, is kickboxing, right? So, what do I mean when I say kickboxing? Because Sanda is a form of kickboxing, Muay Thai is a form of kickboxing, but professional kickboxing, the rules that are in place now, right? So, like say you'll see K1, or sometimes people will call it K1 rules, or what people will have in like one championship in their kickboxing matches. So let's kind of describe it a little bit. So like professional kickboxing will have only strikes, right? So basically punches and kicks. You cannot grab them. You cannot clinch. You cannot grab or catch a kick, right? You cannot do any of those things. They don't count. You don't get points for them. If you knock someone down, it doesn't count. You actually can get penalized if you're just catching and dropping, like dumping them down, kicking their leg out. You can't be doing things like that. You have to be striking them. You have to strike to get close. You have to throw combinations. You have to strike to create space, right? So that I think will be a better supplement for a Sanda practitioner than a Muay Thai. And I've actually written a bunch of little bullet points here, right? So say like while Sanda has great kicks, and actually what I did is I put these down on our blog. So if later on, I haven't made it public yet. So after I finish this, I'm gonna make the blog post public. So all these bullet points will be on our blog. So, but I'm going to kind of read a few of the things. So professional kickboxing offers a different philosophy on durability and combination striking that fills gaps in the Sanda game. Right. Plus, so like one of the points, leg kick defense. Sanda fighters often stand in a bladed stance that facilitate side kicks and to catch kicks. This can leave the lead leg vulnerable. So like if you are fighting in a Sanda match that someone's just like hacking at your lead leg, you could end up just unable to use that leg later. So um, checking and with the shin sometimes as opposed to just like eating it, could help you overall. And also combinations, right? So say like pro kickboxing or even Dutch kickboxing, if that's available to you in your city, right? You're say like Dutch kickboxing is famous for 3 to 5 count combinations that includes punches and kicks, right? So learning sustained combos forces your opponent to shell up, giving you an entry, right, for like a double leg takedown or to set up your takedown, no matter what kind of takedown it is, right? And um, that would be some of the points. There's a few more that are on our blog, but those are the main points where it's like you want to get used to really relying on the striking because like especially in full contact Sanda, I mean you can win by knockout, right? So you can win by TKO. And I kind of want to give a good example. In the last World Championship, we had in the China national team, you had this one fighter, Chen Jingwang. He used a lot of boxing, a lot of uppercuts to get. He TKO'd the American right in the semifinal. So yeah, it's like you really don't have to be reliant so much on the takedowns or the push outs. If you can just beat someone, that's fantastic, right? So Chen Jingwang really showed the importance of your hands, right, of boxing. And so that brings me to number 2, boxing, right? So if you have a chance to supplement your Sanda with boxing, go ahead and take a boxing class. All right. So what are some of the points? And so like I kind of alluded to this mentioning Chen Jingwang because basically in the competition, people are always trying to go for that takedown. So people are always or most often trying to clinch up, right? So Chen Jing, he often would be there in the pocket, right, and then just like throw in those uppercuts, right? So that's that's one of the points here. It's like for supplementing Western boxing and Sanda, uh, you can get an idea of pocket presence, right? So Western boxing, right, are famous for being able to like enter the clinch and strike while there, right? That can help you to maintain your distance. But if you want to like get away from or create distance, you can be punching your way out, you can punch your way in, right? All this stuff really helps. Plus the whole idea of slipping punches, right? So getting your head out of the way when they're trying to punch at you, very important. Uh, of course, pro boxing, or if you only focus on boxing, that's going to be a little bit different because some boxers they will slip excessively or they'll bring their head way too far down. So that's another point that I kind of wanted to bring up where if you do like a kickboxing class or a boxing class, you don't have to necessarily you don't have to become a boxer, but you want to get this whole idea of like the head movement, not too excessive, um, but also the volume, right? The volume of striking, right? So the punch mechanics and volume, right? So this would be like for boxing, like boxers generally punch with better biomechanics and a higher volume, right, than a lot of even kickboxers, right? Especially like Muay Thai. There's another reason why I don't really recommend Muay Thai supplementation for Sanda practitioners. And then also boxing footwork, right? He teaches you to cut angles instead of moving in a purely linear way, right? Um, so those are the first two, right? And so I want to kind of reiterate that it's like you don't have to go into these classes and um, think like oh, I'm going to be a boxer now, or I have to do everything like them. Still try to keep like the Sanda spirit, right? The Sanda base, right? And just try to think about like which moves would be ideal for like Sanda in particular, but I definitely would want people to take away the whole idea of like striking a lot more, higher volume strikes, good combinations, head movement, not excessive head movement, right? You don't want to be bending over and uh, then like taking a kick to the face or whatever is definitely not what you want, but you want to be able to maybe win by TKO or win by knockout, right? That's great. That's a great feeling when you can TKO someone. All right, in the last nationals on the tournament that I did in the final, my opponent was really takedown heavy, so he would definitely try to clinch up with me. I would try to like kind of collar tie him a little bit, or almost like get the a tie clinch real quick. So I'd get him to like kind of get the head down, and then I've delivered some uppercuts. Right, so not even like because some people even too, or it's like say if you're competing and you're at a higher level, some people might be really good at countering your takedowns. Like we saw even in the junior world wushu tournament, even the junior, so these are like the teens and like very early teenagers, they were really good at countering takedowns. So that's another reason why I think people really got to be improving the actual striking aspect. So you can be working on the boxing things, because you can kind of set up like a clinch and then make the person think that they are that you're going to try to take them down. So they're thinking about their defense, and you can be throwing these uppercuts. I think uppercuts are so undervalued and so like underused in Sanda, or actually even on a lot of striking too. Even a lot of boxers are just like throwing, cross, like straight punches and maybe hooks, and just really neglecting that uppercut. I think maybe the uppercut takes a lot more time to get used to, because a lot of people feel more open and vulnerable throwing an uppercut, as opposed to like straight punches, or they're kind of like going like they're kind of in front of your face in a way a little bit, so people feel safer. Even with hooks, right? But uppercuts, I think people feel like they'll drop their hands and they'll feel like it's like a big opening. You First of all, you don't really have to drop your hand too much, but I think people still feel vulnerable and they're not used to knowing when to throw uppercuts or the distance on throwing uppercuts. But if you train it right, so like taking a boxing class or training with a boxing coach, then you can get more comfortable. And I believe that's really how Chen Jingwang beat the American in the World Championship this past summer. It was pretty brutal. All right, so I mentioned two two different martial arts that I think will really help the Sanda fighter improve their skills. What's another one? Well, we do have I've been mentioning takedowns and mentioning how to like not get taken down, or how to not rely on takedowns. But why don't you work on takedowns, right? So what's the best style for a Sanda practitioner to learn and to improve on their takedowns? Well, Sanda takedowns are based off of Chinese wrestling. So traditional Chinese wrestling would be the style you should practice, right? So not judo, not Greco-Roman, but traditional Chinese wrestling. And why is that? Many reasons, but let's kind of set it up first. For those of you who might not know what traditional Chinese wrestling is, it is a grappling style. not like I think it for some people it still might have a visual that's kind of reminiscent of judo, but it's not judo. So a lot of practitioners, and if I've even made videos about techniques for traditional Chinese wrestling, or it's often called shuaijiao. You'll wear a vest, right? So it's not a gi; it's like a short sleeve vest. So it's like basically it's a hard, like tear resistant fabric that will allow you guys to grab onto each other to do throws. But shuaijiao, even though it's like a takedown art, just like judo, just like Greco-Roman, um, you will be allowed to do more things in Shuai than judo and Greco-Roman. So what does that mean? Right. So it means, say, like in both judo and Greco-Roman, they have limitations on where you can grab. Right. So you can't grab legs in either. But in Shuai you can grab legs. You can go for double leg, single leg, plus, we have all the foot sweeps. I think the Chinese stuff tends to be more sophisticated than the Japanese stuff. So, but I know, both. Right, I've competed in China in Shuaijiao and other traditional wrestling styles. And it's why that's where I base my opinion off of. It's not just like seeing it from afar or whatever. So what happens in Greco-Roman is that, and in judo is, and I've talked about it too, even on our catch wrestling channel. They'll both styles will tend to be a little bit more upright, so you can do a lot of these different sweeps and stuff. But in traditional Chinese wrestling or Shuai Jiao, they don't all, or like the better practitioners are not always just so upright. Right. So it's not as easy to take them down. And so what you're seeing in Sanda is like when people clinch up, they're already starting to kind of go into a wrestling stance so they can widen their base and just be very difficult to take down. So that's what happens in Shuai Jiao, right? You have to really set up a lot of these takedowns. I think it's a very sophisticated and fancy style of grappling. I think it's really great. It's really one of these underrated ones because they like judo and Greco. They're both in the Olympics. So you're going to get a lot of people who practice whatever is in the Olympics. It doesn't matter what the sport is. You have all these people doing all these weird, and I guess they're not weird. I'm sure they're fun to these people, but it's like people are doing curling, right, where you push a big stone across ice, and because it's in the Olympics, people are still going to be doing it. So they've set up their infrastructure, right, to do it. So Shuai we do have like an international federation, but it's still, of course, like nowhere near as large as something like judo or even Greco-Roman. I'm assuming because both of those sports are in the Olympics, so you're going to get a large amount of people wanting to do those, right? So my only kind of like my only sticking point with regards to Shuaijiao is if you are a Sanda practitioner, since we compete without the gear on and we compete with gloves, right? I would say if you're practicing Shuaijiao, try your best to see if your partner or the instructor, if you can find a Shuaijiao instructor, uh, ask them if you can do it without the vest, or if you can you can maybe learn in the class like the techniques of grabbing the vest. But say in Shuaijiao, it's like you don't ever have to grab the vest if you don't want. You can always be grabbing wrists, getting some good elbow, contact. Um, it's a very real wrestling style, and so, but maybe you can learn with the vest on, and then spend some time sparring without the vest, right? Um, yep, and then get good at the foot sweeps, get good at the grabbing the legs, all the many leg takedowns. They're really great. So I think, like I said, it's definitely more sophisticated than judo. I know when I talk about judo, it seems like people are very upset. Right? It seems like a lot of judo practitioners think that judo invented takedowns, but um, it's like they've been around. There's cave paintings or whatever of wrestling techniques. So no, they didn't invent it. So, but again, like there's all these different styles, right? So Greco-Roman, its own style. And so basically, I personally see Greco and Judo as being the same style, just one wearing a gi, the other one not. So they can take one out of the Olympics, right, to make room for another sport. Right. So probably just making a lot of people mad, but anyway, it's my opinion. So to recap, right, three styles that will improve your Sanda skills like directly, right? That are like really compatible and just only enhance the style. So three. So one, modern kickboxing. So not Muay Thai, right? Not Taekwondo, not other kickboxing styles, professional kickboxing rules. So that means no catching. You only strike. The only way you're touching the person is by hitting them, right? So using your legs, using your kicks to close the distance. You're punching, kicking really high volume combinations, hands and legs, getting used to using your hands and legs to fight. The number two, Western boxing, right? Not some weird style of boxing, right? Because there's so many, especially like in Kung Fu, right? They use boxing at the end of the name. So no, just Western boxing. All right, so again, that will help you a lot with using combinations. Again, with like high volume hand combinations, it'll help you to get your head out of the way from punches and also footwork. Um, but again, if you're in the boxing class, you don't have to like say like if they want you to bend down really far, which some professional boxers will do. Just don't do that. Just try to keep your good Sanda habits, from you don't want to degrade your good Sanda habits, but still you can be working on these high volume combos. Um, so it just like it will make it easier for you to throw combinations in a Sanda match, give you a higher chance of winning by TKO or knockout, which is amazing. Feels great to get someone to quit without having to throw them down, right? So, and also improving your aim, your accuracy for these strikes. It feels great to just like stop someone if they try to grab you and you throw in your punches and kicks and it just stops them. It's really cool. It looks cool. Sometimes it's even cooler than getting that takedown, right? But those takedowns are great. So then the optimal style for a Sanda practitioner, in my opinion, to supplement is shuai jiao. So traditional Chinese wrestling. So but the caveat is that see if you can practice it without wearing the vest. So get that time in. You can totally learn, of course, the all the grabs for the vest, but again, you don't got to vest in Sanda competition. I mean, like if you do amateur, right, you'll have whatever the chest protector, but we have gloves on, so you got to be learning how to use that grip, right? So I often joke and call it a sloth grip, right? So you're really using like the whole, I'd say even like the from the tip of your finger to the tip of the glove all the way around your forearm, really trying to wrap that around someone's arms or really using that to uh, get a hold and keep a hold of someone. So in traditional Chinese wrestling, you can be using all kinds of grabs, grabbing legs, and of course, like foot sweeps, which will be, I think, more sophisticated than like the average judo school or style. So I would want you to be really good at that. So again, the Shuai Jiao will also help you with different footwork, especially for takedowns. So you're getting footwork practice on all these styles, right? But For Shuai Jiao in particular, you're getting footwork to set up takedowns, which I think is really great. And so then you don't necessarily have to do in like Greco or Judo or whatever. So, and you're keeping it in the style, you're keeping it within the family in a way where it's like, Shuai Jiao or Sanda took the takedowns from Shuai Jiao anyway. So why don't you just deepen your knowledge of Shuai Jiao or traditional Chinese wrestling? So it'll only help because it's like this is the style they got it from. So just deepen your knowledge and deepen your ability, like your skill level, so that you can know how to set up these takedowns, how to use your grips and not necessarily grabbing clothes, right? But grabbing onto the person's body and setting up these takedowns because like the footwork of Shuai Jiao is really really cool. I trained in Beijing with one of the best coaches there, and also did some competitions with um, and competing against one of the national Shuai Jiao champions was really a humbling experience, right? Because footwork, really the footwork, because and also say like if you do grab onto the person, they're so good at not getting taken down, and even if you're grabbing legs, so there's so many cool counters that I think will benefit you more than if you learn another takedown grappling style, right? Um, so I think that is the ideal style for you to supplement with if it's available in your area, which unfortunately it's like these styles aren't like the most famous or the most popular. So um, I'm sure the schools are few and far between, but if you can, and then I guess maybe I'll try, like I've already made a few instructional videos wearing the Shuai Jiao vest. So yeah, I'll just continue. So it's like I know that these styles aren't like on every street corner like jujitsu is. So I'll try my best to uh, give you guys content because actually in the past week, right, the professional sumo competition just happened in Japan, and we got Awo Nishiki who has a very strong wrestling background and not a judo background. It's like a freestyle wrestling background. He did a really great headlock throw. You could totally use it in Shuai Jiao. You can use it, of course, it's in judo as well and whatnot. But I think I'll show a Sanda version, and I'll probably just throw on the vest to show you the Shuai Jiao version. But again, you don't really need to be using the vest. But maybe I'll try to maybe do a way where show you the Sanda and then show you how to set up some grips. But yeah, really, even in Shuai Jiao, you don't always have to grab the vest, which I think is great. It's not so uh, like clothing reliant, and I think that's why we have like short sleeves and stuff. So um, yeah, you don't really have to emphasize grabbing the clothes, which I think is great, right? It's all about actually getting control of someone, actually taking them down, which if you get really good at, right, that will benefit your Sanda. Right? So hopefully this helped you. I'm going to put this up as a blog post on our website, kungfuculture.com. Also, let me know. It's the beginning of the year, so always open to hear about anything you want to learn about. But I guess just from me talking, I was kind of inspired to add more Shuai Jiao videos to our channel. We got a bunch of other topics that we haven't lined up for our podcast. We got some philosophy stuff we want to talk about more. Even one of you last year asked about breathing technique content about like say how it works, how it helps your body. So we're also working on that. So we got a lot of stuff like that is based off of what you asked. So keep asking, and we'll try our best to provide some of the best information. Even some of the philosophy stuff, we were able to get some really good scholarship on philosophy of martial arts. So this is stuff from like university level stuff that's not just like on some random blog or whatever. People who actually spend a lot of time even doing some research on how to measure these differences. We'll be doing that probably next week. But with that being said, we've got a lot of stuff that we were planning for you. But also feel free to let us know what you want to learn more of, because Kung Fu is like this huge umbrella. So we got like internal martial arts, we got external martial arts, we got so many different styles, different focuses. I think it's all great. I think it's all fun. Personally, I've having trained in Beijing University, Beijing Sports University, competed there, trained in Yunnan province. They have their indigenous people really have a strong wrestling culture. It's different. They don't use the jackets. It's really closer to freestyle wrestling. It's very continuous. Um, so Plus I learned all these types of like Tai Chi and Qigong and all that stuff. So I think it's all great. So uh, we'll just keep sharing them with you, and but let me know what you like, what you're more interested in, and we'll talk about it. Right. So kind of like the quote from Mao, right? It's like a strengthen that mind, and it makes your body fierce. I gotta memorize it. It's something along those lines, right? So edify your brain and make your body strong. So that's our goal here, right? And I'll work on that quote. All right. So see you next time. Thank you.